Butler, Dean Schlappman, Diaz, Logan, Revis, Berkowitz, Gala. Have a quorum.
Next up is the approval of minutes for October 1st, 2024.
Motion, Revis.
Second,
Janet, second.
second Diaz.
Diaz,
Yes.
Revis,
Yes.
Berkowitz,
Yes.
O'Gala.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next up, miscellaneous legislative reports. We've got ISACO legislative reports for September 30th. Any questions or comments?
No questions.
And then October 7th. Are there any questions or comments? And October 28th? Okay. Leading us to the federal legislative update. And is anybody on? Catherine. Good morning, Catherine.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us. And Perla, could you please add Meta to the, thank you. All right. We're all yours, Catherine.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, it's great to see you guys. I'm sorry I couldn't attend last month's committee hearing. I had jury duty. But so right now, this is day 2 of the lame duck. As you guys all know, last week's elections really have set the stage for what the next few weeks will be like in Washington. So the House majority hasn't fully been called because there's still about 13 races yet to be called, but it's looking like the House will maintain in GOP control. The Senate will flip from Democratic to Republican control, and then President Trump, of course, won the presidency. So what we're looking like in the lame duck is that Congress will have to either pass the fiscal year 25 appropriations, which is on a continuing resolution through December 20th, or they'll also have the opportunity to pass a second continuing resolution, pushing fiscal year 25 decisions into calendar year 25. There's a low appetite right now for there to be a second continuing resolution, but yesterday, House Speaker Mike Johnson and House Majority Leader Steve Scalise indicated that they might be interested in a March or even a September continuing resolution. In that case, it would just be continuing the current funding, for a few months or for several months. Ultimately, that decision will come down to what President Trump wants to do, if he wants to keep funding level, or if he just wants to move forward, start the first year of his second term with a clean appropriations slate. It also comes down to what the House Republicans want to do if they want to pass fiscal year 25, same consideration. But the third consideration, of course, is going to be what Senate Democrats will or won't agree to. It's looking like the Senate majority next year, and I'm sorry, I have it written down on my whiteboard. That's why I'm turning over here. It'll be a 53 vote majority. That's what the Republicans look like they'll have. Most Senate votes require the 60 vote threshold. So with the Republicans only having 53 votes, there'll still need to be some compromise with what gets done in the Senate. Of course, the House has just the simple majority, so the 50% plus 1 vote, which it looks like the Republicans will easily have. So it really comes down to what Senate Democrats will or won't agree to. So I'm just throwing out that appropriations thing because it's in the next couple of weeks. I think we'll understand that more. Right now, President Trump is focused on announcing who he's nominating for his cabinet. Today, there are the House and Senate Republicans are holding their leadership elections. And so, once we see how those leadership elections will shake out, I think will be the best sense on what happens with appropriations in the lame duck. Things that will occur in the lame duck, or more likely than not to occur, is that Congress will pass the National Defense Authorization Act, which is just the 1-year DoD authorizing bill. That has been passed every year that Congress has done a National Defense Authorization Act. So we're still feeling optimistic that will pass. The Water Resources Development Act, which is the 2-year authorizing bill for the Army Corps, also looks like it'll get passed during the lame duck period, potentially tacked on to NDAA. So there's just, one vote for both of those bills. Because it looks like the Republicans flipped the House and that they've taken the presidency, we're looking more likely than not that Farm Bill is going to get pushed another year. And then that will give, sort of start a clean slate, because the Senate Farm Bill version was written by the Senate majority this year, which are the Democrats. So it'll likely change slightly. I don't think it'll change much beyond, I think, the House draft is a good indication of what could pass next year. There are some elements within the House bill, I think I brought this up a couple sessions ago with the CBO scoring for the House Farm Bill, said that some components would cost just way more than what House leadership was comfortable with. So there will be some potential edits to that. I think the nuances of what will happen in the Farm Bill we'll see, in the first few months of next year, but we are closely monitoring that, and we will share updates once we have that. The only other big thing I'll throw on the radar is, what are we looking at for 2025? So like I said, maybe some appropriations work for fiscal year 25. We'll for sure see fiscal year 26 appropriations, but we're also going to see the tax bill is going to be a huge priority next year. The 2017 tax bill, many of those provisions expire next year. We may see a budget reconciliation, which is a parliamentary congressional procedure to extend some of those provisions. We don't know exactly what could be part of a budget reconciliation deal, but we could see that for some of the tax extenders. And next year, we're also going to see both the House and the Senate begin the surface transportation reauthorization bill. The current transportation bill runs through 2026. So typically the year before the expiration is when you see the House Transportation Committee and then the Senate committees beginning with some of the messaging bills and laying that framework for what the reauthorization will look like. We don't have really much of those yet. We've had a handful of those. I know, Julie, we were tracking a handful of what looked like messaging bills in this Congress, which could be the framework for some of the transportation priorities next year. We will see how those bills, if those bills get reintroduced in the next Congress, and we will keep you updated on that. I will pause now. I know I just covered a whole lot of things, but if you have any questions, or floor is yours.
So Catherine, for the transportation bills, that's when we're going to focus on the impact of these heavier, longer trailers here, especially in our corridor, correct? We're going to
Correct.
stay focused on that. We have a lot of concerns about that, definitely. So if we can continue to keep that on our radar. Does anybody have any questions for Catherine about anything she's covered? Well, thank you for all your good work out there, and for staying on top of this. And we look forward to your update next month as well. If there's anything in the meantime, please don't hesitate to reach out to us if there's anything you feel we may need to at least act on or issue a statement. We always appreciate that notice.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys, and have a great Thanksgiving. I'll see you in December.
Thank you. Have a good holiday. Thank you,
Thank you.
Catherine.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, state legislative update. So let's see. Good morning, Ann.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
Just fine, thank you. I'm in Springfield. I thought I'd give you a nice backdrop.
It's beautiful
For
and quiet. Not normally like
moment.
that, right?
the moment.
the
We'll see how
moment.
long it lasts.
Well, thank you for being with us this morning.
Absolutely. Glad to be.
And do you have anything new for us that we need to know?
Sure. So the Illinois legislature just started its veto session yesterday. They are meeting 3 days this week and 3 days next week before Thanksgiving. Veto session, as the name suggests, is when they typically gather to address any vetoes that the governor may have issued since the spring session. Because, as you know, the governor is a Democrat, and both chambers of the General Assembly are supermajority democratically held. They often don't have too many vetoes, and that's the case right now. There are no vetoes to address in this veto session. However, the lawmakers do like to take the opportunity to be in Springfield, reconnect, and try to advance other pieces of legislation. So the Senate is holding a couple, 3 committees this week. The House is still discussing their plans, and both chambers, both caucuses are conducting their leadership elections for the next General Assembly, which will be inaugurated January 8th. In addition to liking to take advantage of this veto session, lawmakers also like to take advantage of time to be in Springfield in what they call a lame duck session in January, just before that January 8th inauguration. So it's possible they will add some days to the calendar between January 2nd and 7th, but we'll have to see exactly how that works out with that weekend in the middle and holiday travel likely keeping some lawmakers away. The benefit of the lame duck session is that they need fewer votes to pass things once the new calendar changes over than they do right now in November. If there happen to be things that would be a little more controversial, a little more difficult to pass, they may want to do so with less of an obstacle. But this is not a year where they have a lot that they're trying to pass that way. Many years ago, they passed a state income tax increase that way. So that's sometimes how they go about it. This time, they're talking about maybe changing some things if they have an interest in codifying into Illinois state law things that might change on the federal level with President-elect Trump coming back into office. Primarily among those might be something pertaining to energy regulations. If they fear that the federal government will roll back some energy regulations and they want to see those kept strong in Illinois, that might be something that they try to address. Most of the conversation about that so far has been battery storage and incentivizing building and setting up battery storage in Illinois. So we'll see how that comes together. As you know, the elections just happened November 5th, and as of this conversation, there have been absolutely 0 state legislative seats that have changed party hands. It's been kept exactly the same, 78 Democrats in the House to 40 Republicans in the House, and 40 Democrats in the Senate to 19 Republicans in the Senate. There are 2 House races that are still too close to call as they wait for absentee ballots to arrive and provisional ballots to be reviewed. And those 2 races are within 500 votes right now. So it's possible that there could be a couple of additional seats that have a different result. But right now, everything is status quo in Illinois in terms of those exact partisan breakdowns. So that's the overview from there. As the new session starts January 8th, those lawmakers will be inaugurated and they'll start the whole 2-year cycle over again. So all the bills will be archived and new bill numbers will start from House Bill 1 and House Bill 2, Senate Bill 1 all the way on up. We'll see thousands of bills introduced in the early months of 2025, and then we'll go through the legislative process before they plan to adjourn in May. They have not yet released their spring session calendar, but we expect it to follow along the same lines as it has in the past, where they'll meet a little bit here and there in January and February, and then really ramp up towards the end of February into April, March, and May. March, April, and May. So that's the quick overview. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Okay, thank you, Ann.
Absolutely.
Meta?
Hi, Ann.
Hi.
Did you say that 2 districts are within 500 votes?
That's correct.
Do you know which 2 those are, or?
I do. The 76th district is in the Ottawa, LaSalle, Peru area. It is currently held by a Democrat. The Democrat there is currently leading by about 300, 400 votes. against a Republican challenger, and it's an open seat. So, and it was a newly redrawn district after the last remap. So it's a little bit different from before. It now includes part of the NIU campus up in DeKalb. So that's one seat. The other seat is the 47th House District, which is the Wheaton area in the Chicago suburbs. That seat is not an open seat. It's currently held by a Republican, the same Democratic challenger who challenged last time, challenged again this time. And on election night was 500 votes behind, and as of right now is 326 votes behind. So the Republican incumbent has the lead there and is likely to keep that seat.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We all do.
And Judy, let me see. Oh, okay, Judy, you're on.
So Ann, do you have any idea of any rumblings that they might, besides energy? Have you heard anything else besides that?
Oh, there's a lot of rumblings. There always are. Everything from the mass transit issue to maybe some state budget concerns, and then lots of little things here and there. As it pertains to some of the hot button issues on controversial topics that are on some people's minds right now immediately after the election, such as abortion rights or access and immigration policy and things like that, it's less likely that we would see legislation on those just because Illinois has already codified the majority's views on a lot of those things. So
Right.
there will be smaller ideas on those topics. As it pertains to some type of mass transit legislation, I don't think that they have a plan yet determined on that. And so it looks like they would be looking at maybe January session, or actually more likely spring session next year, to fully vet an idea. And then this ties into the budget concern. The recent forecasts just in the last few weeks show that next year's budget will be short by quite a bit. And so there's conversation about how to make sure that they can have a balanced budget next year. And then on top of that, how do they manage all these additional costs that are coming their way? So when it comes to mass transit, the reason that that is an issue right now is that the Regional Transit Authority and the three systems under it are facing a $730 million fiscal cliff this coming year. And actually that cliff increases each of the next several years, and it will be over $1 billion. And that's just to maintain the system as is, in addition to filling that hole. Obviously, everybody wants there to be additional service. After COVID, ridership trends have changed. People are not always going into office all day, every day in the same manner that they were before. People are seeking opportunities to travel around the region in different ways, in addition to access for people with disabilities and working at different locations. And so it's easily estimated that that $730 million could be double that. In fact, that was the CMAP's proposal. So that alone is quite a strain, in addition to conversations about pension systems in the state. There will be a rally here today to talk about taking us back, and the state's pension reform added a tier 2 pension system that scaled back benefits for pensioners, including teachers, fire, police officers, and others in the state, having to work longer and getting less in benefits. And so there will be an estimated 2,000 people in the Capitol today in support of a proposal to add back some of those benefits, and adding those back certainly adds to the cost for the state. So there are also issues in Chicago when it pertains to Chicago Public Schools and the costs of funding their current contracts as well as their pension obligations. And all of those come with price tags. So those are all part of the conversation. I don't expect that there would be a supplemental budget. There's no magic money right now to allocate to cover those things, and there's no real agreement, particularly on the transit issue. I think that would land at a plan in January. I suspect that those issues will all be in the spring, but they may be talking about them in the coming weeks.
Okay, thank you for that. And as you know, we had election here, so we have no idea what the legislative committee will look like, because that changes, our committee's structure changes every 2 years as well. And we wouldn't have our first meeting till January, so whoever's on that committee at that time, it'd be great to have you guys, both you and Matt online, so they can meet you guys that way, or if you're able to come in person, that would be good too. So yeah, elections always change everything up and you guys are aware of it. But this is the first time you're with us for this change. So I totally appreciate all the work you guys have done and the help you've provided to this committee and myself and staff in helping us do be aware of the things we need to know about in Springfield. So thanks and great working with you.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. We stand at the ready, whatever you need, however it looks. And, we always love to come in person. So if that's an opportunity, we'd love to do that.
Thank you, Ann.
And one of the concerns I have regarding energy regulation is the increased need for power for electricity. We had a speaker yesterday at our Land Use and Development Committee that basically told us, we need more solar facilities because of the increased demand for electricity. However, that technology is not to the point where it can actually create the amount of energy that we need. So my concern is, I know there was a battle to allow Illinois to have the small nuclear power facilities. And I believe that was a success and that is, but I see an increased need for that, especially when you look at the data centers and the power that they require. In addition to us, our heavy industrial use here, we've got Amazon. They all require so much power. So that is my biggest concern moving forward, that our legislators understand our needs, especially within our county. And you can't have our residents competing for power with industry. And, we've got to have that voice. So are they going to understand that? And will they take that into consideration? That's my biggest fear.
We hear you loud and clear on that, Julie. We are happy
Okay.
to continue to ring that bell for them. You're not alone in those concerns for sure. And that's something we've been part of conveying. PJM, the market monitor for the area, has been recently discussing reliability concerns over the future. And reliability is number one. You got to make sure that the lights and power are on. Like you said, it's an issue for industrial, but it's also an issue for residential. And so as they look to plan what the future looks like, there are a lot of concerns about the ability to meet that demand in a reliable fashion. And so all of those different components go into it, from large scale projects like AI, quantum computing, and data centers, as well as meeting the existing demand from manufacturing, as well as residential health and safety, as well as just everybody in this day and age loves to use their phones for everything. We take pictures of the food we eat and our pets and all kinds of stuff. And all of that is stored in the cloud and requires additional data storage and therefore energy usage. So those are all top of mind right now. I think that's why the conversation about energy right now is focused on battery storage, because some of these other pieces they don't have a clear path for right now as to what they would change. But incentivizing battery storage development in Illinois could potentially help Illinois economic development and jobs, as well as creating the capacity to store solar at a better rate than what we can do now. So to your point, solar can't meet the demand now, but maybe with battery storage increasing here, it can come closer. So we know it will take a lot of different pieces of this puzzle to help address this as it continues to evolve and gets likely more challenging before it gets better. But yes, lawmakers are starting to hear about this more, and we're helping to bring their attention to this.
One of the concerns with battery storage as well, and I hope they're hearing this and they're looking at this part of the picture, is the risk with battery storage, fires, explosions, things like that. I don't feel enough conversation has been had to address that. Even if it happens once, we have to have the mechanisms in place to address it and to be prepared for it. If that happens in Will County, the cost to the county, not only in terms of dollars, but who knows, resources, what the damages could be. We need to get that message through to those legislators that has to be part of that picture. So I want to make sure that Will County, they hear from Will County that that is one of our top priorities. So,
Got it. Happy to help make that happen, and I can pull
Okay.
up the two versions of the bill that were floated before. They're certainly far from final. I can send those your way if you'd like to take a look. I'm sure that there are insurance provisions in there for the development of this, but we know that more language is likely to change before anything moves. So we can keep you apprised as that happens.
okay. Thank you very much. We really appreciate it. It's been great to work with you as well. And does anybody else have any questions? Mark,
Nope.
you're good? Okay. Thank you for everything, Anne, and please extend our thank yous to Matt as well. And I hope you all have a wonderful holiday. And we'll see you soon. the
Thank you
next
very much.
meeting. Thank you. My computer went out. Okay, next up. Okay. Off, other old business. We don't have any that I'm aware of, correct? Okay. 2025 legislative agenda. Has everyone had the opportunity to read our legislative agenda? And any comments on anything in the agenda?
Why don't you ask for a motion and a second to get it on the table?
Okay, can I have a motion to put the 2025 state legislative agenda on the table?
I'll motion that.
Second Revis.
Second, Revis, thank you. Okay, open for discussion now, Meta?
No, I didn't have.
Do you have any discussion?
All good.
Okay. Any comments? Mark?
No comments.
Okay. Janet?
No, I'm okay.
All right. Thank you.
Second
Can I
clean-
have
clean-
a-
No, clean roll, because.
Yeah, you need, that's why I
Oh.
stopped for a minute, because I thought we needed the roll call to put it.
Okay.
Anyways. Yeah.
Diaz,
Yes.
Revis,
Yes.
Berkowitz,
Yes.
Ogala.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay.
No.
You gotta call Mueller.
Sorry. To the roll.
Yeah, you have to add her to the roll.
I'm sorry.
She got here at 10:03.
No, yeah, I wrote it down, sorry. Mueller,
Yes.
Diaz,
Yes.
Revis,
Yes.
Berkowitz.
Yes.
Motion carries.
There you go.
Thank you. Okay, and then there's also attached to the agenda, some information from the health department. Any comments on that?
Yeah.
Any discussion? Okay, other new business, I'm not aware of anything. Public comment, is there any public comment? Okay, sure, please come up and introduce yourselves.
And press the little man with the speaker.
Oh, I get to.
Press it and then she'll put you on. Oh, there's 3 seats for you. There you go, girls. There's plenty of room.
Good morning. I'm Denise
morning.
Bergen. I'm the Assistant Executive Director from the Health Department.
Good morning, I'm Diane Scruggs.
Oh yeah, hang on a sec. Put them all green. The little speaker person. There you go.
Got him, Julie?
Oh, I just, shoot. Yeah. Hold on, Tim's
Oh,
gonna
push it again.
fix this, because I just hit the wrong button.
Okay.
You have to push it back on. There you go. Once you're green, you're waiting.
Where did you go?
Green usually means go, but this
They
case
should
it
have a
doesn't.
turn all on
It's
button.
opposite.
Yeah, I don't know.
It'd be like a red light, green light, but it's not.
9, 10, and 11. There's 11.
Yeah, I don't know where she's at on here.
There you go. You're red.
There you go.
One more.
Okay.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry. I'm Denise Bergen. I'm the Assistant Executive Director from the Health Department.
Good morning. I'm Diane Scruggs, Division Director for Behavioral Health at the Health Department.
And I'm Cheryl Picard, Assistant Director of Family Health Services at the Health Department.
And we want to thank you for including the items which are in your state legislative agenda, which you just authorized. We do want to talk about a few more, which are included in ours, which did not quite make it onto yours. Specifically, we're looking at the Vaccine for Children program, expanding that to adults. What this is, they're vaccines that are preventable diseases. And we support expanding coverage to uninsured, underinsured adults so that we can eliminate many vaccine preventable diseases out there. We want to increase access. Cheryl, did you have anything to add?
Not really, other than we also are even looking to be able to provide more mobile services, so to really be able to get out there in the community. So something we'd really like to do is to be able to get, some sort of, mobile bus, some sort of mobile vehicle to be able then to take those services to the people. We do have some services that we do go out to residents, either places that they're living or long-term care facilities that they're unable, to come out for those vaccines. But we'd really like to expand that service as well.
Excellent. The other item which we support as a health department is the Narcan and the drug test strips, free distribution by the state. This has really helped reduce the overdose death within Will County and other counties as well. Diane?
Yeah, we definitely would like to see an increase in this. We know that the opioid deaths in Will County have almost lessened by more than half to 17%. But we also know that there's an increase in methadone and cocaine use, which ultimately leads to the risk of fentanyl being laced in these drugs. So we want to see that increase so we can keep these deaths down.
All right. Thank you very much for your time and your consideration, and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trying to get back to my agenda. All right, announcements, reports by chair. I have none at this time, so our legislative agenda will proceed to the full county board. We next.
She did.
Executive session. No need for executive session. Motion to adjourn.
Motion Mueller.
Second.
Diaz.
Second
All in
Diaz.
favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.